Let me get some intro music, bro. What is this?
Okay, you want some intro music? What do you want to hear?
Intro music.
Okay, all right.
Nice. This is a very sensual episode. Yeah. Right? Like but man, listen. NRC, and this is our first feature episode, man. I have a very special guest. His name is Marlon. Super massive. He's a you know what? Like, I'll let him introduce himself to y'all.
My name is Marlon. I'm a producer, quote unquote. I've been making music for like 5, 6 years. But like the last year and a half has kind of just been like I haven't been doing too much. I've just been kind of like focusing on design life and design career. So I'm kind of like slowly getting back into like that world of things. So yeah.
Nice. If you guys didn't know, the connection that I had between Marlon, he reached out to me after hearing, was it an episode of New Wave Radio? And you were like, yeah, I gotta get this guy on.
Actually,
been
it was like I think you were running like some bass line or something. It was like a UK like bass line kind of like mix. I was just like,
right.
Yo, there was one remix. I was like, all right, yo, this guy's serious. I was like, I need this guy.
So he had reached out to me last year for an event that he throws called Back to Back with him and his people. It was an episode of New Wave Radio that I had done, and man, since then we've been cool. I've been siphoning all his beats and rinsing them.
It's been purging my laptop, not siphoning, purge.
After any opportunity that I can get, and luckily for y'all, I have him here to do a breakdown of 3 of some tracks that he's produced. So, man, I'll let you take it away. What's the first track that we have to dissect and break
down? So the first one was kind of just like, this was like a beat I made one day, and I think it was like last year, kind of. It was like early, like spring, and I was just like wanting to go to Jamaica real bad because I haven't been back to Jamaica since like 2008-9. Don't let my mom see this. She's mad as fuck about it. I'm just like, anyways, but yeah, it was just like, it's one of those like rare tracks or like rare beats where I just kind of like sat down in like one day and just kind of like did it, which was like,
right.
Doesn't happen too much these days,
right?
Like, but whenever it does, you got to kind of like trust it, right? So,
is there a name for this beat?
I call this one personally Whistle.
Okay.
Because the lead in it is like literally a whistle, but it's not me whistling, but that's kind of where it's from.
Nice. Let's take a listen and get into the breakdown.
All right.
Now this sounds very, I want to say like early 2000 reggae pop vibe. You know what I mean? Like what we were getting from, like Rupee and artists like that.
Yeah.
Like run us through the stems and how you built the song from the ground up.
Okay, so essentially, I got the Ableton project over right here. So
perfect.
Essentially, the way I started this out with is like, I think a lot of producers either start beats 2 different ways. It's either like you have like a drum pattern or something that just like, all right, this is fire. So your drums don't knock, your shit doesn't knock. And then 2, either you got to have a really good like melody and just like carry your shit. Like you can make the simplest beat, but as long as like the melody and like shit's like fire, it's like that will stick in people's heads, right?
100%.
Essentially, I kind of like had this melody in my head already. So this is like the lead of that.
I hear the whistle.
Yeah. So it's just the whistle kind of thing. And then after that, I just kind of layered it up a little bit.
Right.
So
if in this case is it that you always start with the chords first and then you go into your percussion or like your drums?
Not necessarily. Sometimes
It just so happened to be
it just so
this.
happened to be this way. I don't really
Gotcha.
have like a I don't
Set
have a
way of
tried
doing
and true
things.
set way to do it. It's kind
I
of just
hear you.
like whatever I feel like works, I do
Right.
it, right?
Right.
So then after I had the that main like melody line here, so I'll solo out the drums for you. So we'll go like here, and I'll just like break down like the drums layer by layer. So essentially, you just have like some toms and like a top line kind of going. So it starts out with. I'll go here for you. So toms,
Right.
some hi-hats in there,
Right.
shakers,
Right.
kind of just giving it a little back here,
Nice.
and then I got like the clap. It's like four different claps layered together, and then I just like froze it and just like printed it down.
Woo!
And then you got like the kick. And the kick was actually kind of really annoying to make because like I needed something that was like
Punchy.
I needed something that was punchy, but it's like if you like listen to it, it's kind of it's like a crash, like the tail of like a crash on
Right,
the guitar,
right,
just to like
So where did you sample this kick from?
and out of like.
I'm asking the wrong questions.
No, it's not
Say
even.
less.
No, it's not even a question. I just literally just have like folders and folders, like as every producer does. They got folders and folders of shit.
Right.
And there's just sometimes where it's like there's just like one thing that like you can't like.
You pinpoint.
It just can't work by itself. So then you have to like sit there and like cut and paste and figure out and find something that works.
100%. Yeah.
So then, actually, I think I lied kind of when I said this because I think I did the melody and then like I kind of like laid down the bass line because like if you're running any type of dance hall, like your bass line has to like
Otherwise, you're not.
has to bop, right?
Exactly.
So
I'm catching a bubble to this.
exactly. So like, I'll just like so you can just hear it by itself.
Now this bass chord is really funky. Like, how did you like? Where is it? What? Is
I'll
this
tell you
from,
the
like,
I'll tell you the inspiration for it.
Yeah.
So the inspiration, it's from an old, it's like I forget, it's from like a Roland emulator, and essentially the sound like I was going for was like, I just feel so bad. I'm doing this live right now. But like, no, sorry, this is slang tongue rhythm. This is slang tongue rhythm. It was one of the first rhythms in Jamaica that had like that was done via like from a synth. Right?
Okay,
so
gotcha.
that
Yeah,
bass
yeah,
line,
yeah.
and
Like
it was
that dub plate
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. So it was a big like track. So like with that, I was just trying to like get that like that bass, like that dub synthy sound, right? So,
Right,
like,
right.
that was kind of the first part. So it's kind of like split into like two different parts. There's like the top part of it, which is just more of like your harmonies and like your whatever your top sounds there.
Right,
And then,
right.
like, it's just split into like the sub, where it's just like more of like the feel, right?
Nice.
So then like when you have that and that together, and then you just like, when you have like that down, it's like all right, cool. That's like that was the base of the track.
Exactly.
Right? So and then once you add in like the whistle, right?
It's feeling full now. It's feeling full, guys.
Right. Exactly. So
Feeling full, guys.
so
And listen, I don't know about you guys right now, but in the studio, it's a week before Caravana, so you know this is good music for me to practice to. I gotta
Wow.
oil up my hips because you never know.
Are people still going to Caravana this year? Where are we going?
I'm glad you interrupted me because I was about to say something.
Are people still going?
Hey,
Because everyone's like, yo, can't go to Caravana. Toronto's too hot right now. But people are
listen,
still gonna do it.
music,
So
food, people playing mass.
don't hurt. Don't
Sounds
listen
like
to all that noise. Calm
Sounds
on
like
down.
a good time. Sounds like a
Havana
good
Bana.
time. And plus the whistle song, man. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this because I'm totally enjoying it. Man, what other music do you have laid out for us that you've been working on?
Okay, I got another one here. We're gonna move off the dance hall vibes. So this is another one of those like tracks. It's kind of just like it was a one day thing. I don't do these anymore. Like I can't like right now the way I make music right now is like I'll sit down and make like an 8-bar beat, 16-bar beat, and then
You
I'll
just
save
save
it.
it?
I'll save it and go on to the next.
Wow.
'Cause, like if I sit there for too long, I'll just be like
Do you feel like
I get
lose that kind
I
of
get stuck. Like if I spend more than 30 minutes like waiting for it right there,
right?
like
This is sounding really good though. What was the inspiration? First off, what's the name of the song?
internally, I just call it moving.
Okay,
Moving
nice,
forward, so-
nice. I like that.
I'll open up a project file.
Please do, please do. I feel like the flute sample is
few like leads and stuff I actually like from Atmosphere that
Right.
I kind of just like continue to use.
Right.
And I know this was like kind of made at the same period because I was like focusing on those like exact same sounds, right?
Right.
So I know that was built in that period, but I don't know, I just really like fucking with the flute. And I'll tell you this, when this is a future track with the whistle, with the flute, sorry, Mask Off, yeah. So like this, I was making like this is a little bit before that song came out. So I was
Interesting.
Like, oh,
Okay.
fire. So then, like, actually look at the project file. Like, I'm not lying. Like, look, Kevin will confirm.
Listen, guys, I'm looking right now.
You see the track?
I do see the track title, guys. It's confirmed. This definitely came out before Mask Off.
Yeah. So kind of like break it down a little bit.
By all means, yeah.
So essentially, another one of those things where, for this process, kind of started out with like a melody.
Nice.
I don't know. For some reason, that lead was just like when I hear that like flute lead, I was like, I can make any fucking melody.
Is it one of those situations where when you hear chords, you can kind of like, I know Michael Jackson had this thing where once he hears a chord, he'll start beatboxing right away.
Yeah.
And then he'll get his people to, produce over that.
Yeah.
Based on how he's beatboxing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of those things that happens with you? Like you'll hear a chord in your head, a progression, and then you start beatboxing to it, and then you lay out your drums?
Sometimes, like, the best way I get like hype about stuff that I make is like if I'm in my room by myself,
right,
and then I do something and I'm just like, woo! Like, actually, like sometimes I'm just like, yo,
yeah,
that's fire. If I get up out of my chair, if I just like kind of like I'm talking myself up, then I know it's like, all right, this is, you have something.
You have a gem on you.
Yeah, there's other times too when I'm just making stuff where it's not like, I'm like, okay. But like if I'm just like, whoo, I'll like press the space bar. I'll press the space bar and I'm like,
yo,
bringing
Patrick
it back.
is grinning over there. He knows the music. Patrick knows the music.
I'm like, hold on, wait a second. I was
Right.
like, but is this? Yeah, no, but it's the same way too. Like sometimes like I'll be like making something and like honest to God, like I'll hear like a snare and I'll hear an idea. Like I'm just like, wait a second.
So if in this case, nice. Walk us through the progression of this song.
Okay, so essentially, I think this is from, I can't remember if this is from Contact or if it was Atmosphere, because I print everything, I freeze everything because like you can't have all those like VSTs sucking up your energy, your RAM. So essentially, I think I started out with the chords in this actually. So
okay,
these are the chords.
Very smooth.
Right? So
very smooth.
Just like really simple chords.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of had there was some like texture I kind of added into the song. I think it was like rain.
Yeah, I can kind of hear
so it was just like give it a bit more like
atmosphere.
Like atmosphere, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And then there's just like this like soft like kind of pad in the back.
Right.
And then so
sensual.
Yeah, so like after I had that in place, I was like, all right, cool. So like then I kind of started like whistling the melody, and that's again where that like flute kind of came in.
Right.
So
this wasn't done in the same instance as the whistle song before it, right?
No, I think this was around the same time period though, because I realized I was using some of the same like sounds and stuff, so I just know it was like in that period.
You're in that space.
But essentially, so like.
Okay. Yo, this kind of reminds me of super hot take right now. Growing up, there was a mall right by my crib. It's called Woodbine Mall. And every now and again, go back to that to the flute part.
Yeah. Hold up.
Let's get back to that flute part. But when you hear that flute part, it kind of reminded me of those like Peruvian flute players. I don't know. Patrick Grinner right there. His dimples popping, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Those pan flute players. This is exactly what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
But let's go into the next progression. What happens after this?
So what happens after that? I turn a bunch of like shit up just for the sake of hearing, but I'll kind of like run it through right now from the start. actually different than the one I just played you, but it's essentially the same. I just kind of like switched out some of the sounds and stuff.
Got you.
And actually, it's probably one of my favorite things about this whole like song, and it's just like small like weird producer things. It's just like the way if I find the 808 track here, it's just like the way the 808
just kind of trails off.
So what I did is like I just like resampled it. This is all for the producers out there.
Right.
I'm speaking to you because I know everybody else doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So essentially, like I just like resampled it into another track, just like the tail of the 808.
Right.
And then it's
that's
like,
where we get the that trailing off.
Yeah. So like I'll just like turn it up for the sake you can hear it. It's like, where is it? Right here. It's like.
Ooh.
Right? And then it's like, so like that, and you
very
play
spacey.
it with like
very
play
spacey.
with the 808. Right.
Now,
so
did you reverse that so you could get the?
Yeah.
Nice.
So just like reversing the tail end of that, and then kind of just like it was just like a nicer transition as opposed to like you can like filter out like as it's coming up to like that next bar. But I was like, I kind of want that to come in because I filter everything out. I filter all the top, and then like the low end just kind of like creeps in, right?
Right. And I feel like that's a more soul approach to producing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of electronic music, they'll use, like you mentioned, they'll use that filter to get into the next chord or progression of the song, or even the drop. But for you, you're using that reverse bass note. To get right into it. So that's a really good touch. Yeah.
So that's that. Other than that, the beat's it's pretty simple, but it's just like once you have like a good solid idea, it's like sometimes it's like keep it simple. Stupid.
Nice.
Like just like that's the truth, honestly. You see all those, think of all the records like y'all are bouncing to right now. How simple are they? Simple.
Very simple.
Yes,
very
indeed.
simple.
If you saw that video that the producer broke down, like he took like a flute sample and it was like he had the 808s, he put down the drums, and then he was just like, ooh, I like this, and he just put it. It was like done. Simple. There's no melodies, there's no subtle pads. It was just like.
Now does that like get on your nerve a little bit as a producer? Like that's the simplicity of everything?
Not at all, because it should be simple as that. It's just sometimes it should be simple. Like it doesn't have to be overly complicated.
Right.
Like I mean, and I think those producers, like there's like beat makers and there's like producers, and then there's different like sects of like,
areas
in those people. Like some people are just like good at making beats, and then there's people that are like good at like, hey, I'm gonna go pick up this guitar, let me go pick up this piano, or like come do that. So it's like to each your own, you know. Everyone's doing their own thing, kind of. So
okay,
yeah.
And we've got one more for you guys. This one is my personal favorite. Was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
I think it was last weekend.
Was it last weekend?
Yeah, I think it was last weekend.
Last weekend I was at Colty. Shout outs to Mike Rock for inviting me out to that. And I hit this guy up and I was like, yo, I hear what you're doing on Instagram. Like, I need that beat. I need it. And he emailed me right away, and I got this beat that you guys are about to hear right now. But he told me, yo, I edited it, this and that, da-da-da-da. I'm like, I don't care how long it takes. Send it over, because when I go to Colty, I want to play it out. And the trooper that Marl is, this guy came over to Colty, walked right up to the booth where I was at, handed me a USB, and I said, popped it right in and played it right then and there for all my boys that were there. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy this one. It is a Bailey Funk flip.
Yeah. So
remix of Griselda Blanco.
I guess I'll give you like
the rundown of how this happened.
That happened.
Yeah.
Because like first of all, being in a city like Toronto, like the hip hop scene here is very, very important.
Absolutely.
It's the most like popular thing that's happening right now.
100%.
I think everyone's very connected with what's happening, like the tiers of like Toronto talent. You know, you have like the Drakes, you have the Tories, blah blah blah, but then you have like, you know,
the hood stuff.
Yeah, you got the hood stuff. You got like K Money, you got like Pangs, you got Tutu, you got like all those guys that are kind of like in like R.I.P. Smoke Dogg and like all those guys, right? But they're so important to like the scene in Toronto, like on a music level, and like DJ culture and all that. So
absolutely. Let's get into it.
Yeah,
bro.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Sheesh.
gon' trap to this. Keep an eye, don't laugh to this. Somebody might get slapped to this. Perfect. You know the real. Free the dogs and the demons. Take a trip to the east end. See the leave. Top dogs in my road dogs. My young boys made the place hot.
Yeah.
Never read a bad ride. Niggas hug a presidente. Shot. She making bands on the long pole. She bad, she gives her the blanco. She up, she gives her the blanco. She bad, she gives her the blanco.
So I don't know about you guys, but like Bali funk is a really moving genre. Like I don't even know if it's one of those things where it's underground in Toronto. I like to think that it's not.
Yeah.
But like DJs all over playing. And we love at New Wave, we love the shit. So when I heard this, I was like, hey, this is my life. So shout out to you for having me off that.
Facts. This guy said he felt like he just got like a hollow Charizard.
100%. Like verbatim, that's what I told this guy. So like we're gonna go through the breakdown right now.
Yeah. So essentially, it's not like I can message Pangs or Tutu and say, "Yo, pass me that acapella."
We'll tag all these people. Make sure that we get this guy the official acapella, so we get the cleanest version of this that we can.
So
how did you pull out the vocals? How long did that take?
A lot of bullshit, to be honest. But honestly, like I didn't even do it like that. So essentially, the way I did this was, I took like the piano part.
Right.
So you get that like, oh come on, Ableton, don't do this to me right now. You know the struggle. Oh, that's not the part, but
no.
Essentially, so I took the piano part, chopped that, kind of just like stitch it together.
Okay.
So then I knew, I was like, all right, I have like the main piano part. That's
right.
like that's
the
people hear that and it was like, yo, people are banging on ceilings, so whatever.
Right.
So then I was like, all right, cool. Then essentially what I did was had a loop here. So I'll just kind of like put that in there.
So in case you guys don't know, that like beatboxing Timbaland type sound that you're hearing is a really typical like Baile funk rhythm. And Baile funk is a genre out of Brazil. And
Shout out Brazil.
Shout out Brazil. And a lot of them use this particular, beatboxing percussion pattern in their music.
So then after kind of that, because I can't just like, it's just lazy to like just throw that, that loop in and be like, all right, I made a ballad, whatever. So essentially, I kind of added a bit more to it. Added another set of like toms.
100%.
And then I added another set of toms. So it's just like really making that like feel like really full, right? And then after that, essentially, I gotta unsolo some stuff for y'all here. Essentially, I just took like, since like the way it lines up, you can take that piano part and take the first first verse and put it like right on top of it. Okay, and it doesn't really matter. So then I just cut the lows on it and kind of like did some like mid side, so I could like, I push like the piano to like the right side, and then I push like, I single out the vocals. I use a Waves center. It's really cool. So like I just kind of like pushed like where the vocals were in that mix and kind of like just smashed them together.
As opposed to normalizing everything.
Yeah. So I kind of just like smashed them together. So like if you hear
bad bitches gon' strip, dope boys gon'
so like that's you can still hear it, but like once you like put it together with like you. Yeah, exactly. So you side chain it and then like put it together with the other piano part on top.
Right.
Bad bitches gon' strip.
So like that's you can hear like the kick and stuff when it comes through, but
bad bitches gon' strip. Dope boys gon' trap to this. Keep an eye, don't laugh to this. Somebody might get slapped to this. Perfect. You know the real. Free the dogs and the demons.
That's like the main part there. Just like people get their their elbows up, whatever they want to do.
And a good touch that I noticed is you kept the ad, like somehow you were able to keep the ad libs from dude on the song.
Yeah, it's just weird. That's just the way it worked out, because like the vocals, since they pop out, like the ad libs ended up coming with them. So it's like,
so I guess it kind of works. I mean, like in their case for the original song, that they didn't have the ad libs under the vocals. They kept it like on the same wave as the actual verse, because then you could rip that too.
Exactly. So that's kind of just what I did. And
nice. And the Street Fighter 2, perfect.
Yeah, you know, I was just like, just let people know, like Kanye, let people know that Kanye is out here. You know, little
perfect.
Yo, shout outs to Rec Room, because I was rinsing a whole bunch of people playing Street Fighter 4. There was one dude who was like mashing like all types of buttons, and he beat me, and I was like, listen, I'm not dealing with this right now. Whoever you are, if you're in the city still and you ever get to see this,
yo, keep your head on a swivel,
bro.
That's all I have to say.
Coming for you.
Keep that head on a swivel.
Matt, let's hear this one out in its entirety, because are there any sections that we're missing, like towards the end?
There's like, so essentially it's like that main part, and then you get into
the breakdown.
So like there's kind of like a little 4-bar like fill to like get that transition of like, okay, we're here,
100%.
We've got through, you got the main track, now it's like we're showing you like the main part of the track, so it's like
right. Now, where did you get that vocal sample from? That Bali vocal sample from? What song is that?
Honestly,
is it one of those where it's just random?
I just got like, I'm just gonna go through this folder right now. We have like
dança de perna aberta, dança de perna aberta, dança de
there's tons of samples, you know.
Como é que ela vai?
And
so you just picked out like any which random one that would work, and then
yeah. So I just kind of like, I went with one that I liked, and I was just like, all right, I like this, I fuck with this. That's a Spanish ice cream man coming out. That's a Portuguese Spanish man coming out. Yeah, so, and then after that, you know, it's just kind of, it goes into a little like, part goes into a little section, so so it's like a little bit more percussion and stuff. Yeah, and I'd say also too, like, one of my favorite parts of like just this thing,
right?
It's like the small things. I don't know what it is about bass and just like manipulating bass, but you know, just like like adding the slides to your 808s and just making them slap.
Yeah.
So like just this part here is just like. Yeah, so it's just like, it's like you're doing like a fill with like your bass essentially.
I like that, man.
So,
I like that.
Yeah.
Yo, bro, this has been a very, very fun episode.
Yeah.
Our first feature episode. I hope you guys enjoy that as much as we enjoy it here at NRC. And yo, let's play that song out. What the hell?
Okay, you want to hear? Okay.
Let's play that Griselda remix out. Yeah, man. As always, thank you to Patrick for the space, 1605 Church Street West. Nick's behind the scenes, you feel me, doing all the video work. Justice Bea out of New Wave for the GoPro that we using. Justice for the visual, not the visuals, but the graphic design stuff.
Yeah.
And last but not least, bro, my guy Barl.
Thank you. Thanks for having me out.
Who else? You guys for watching, and Pangs and Tutu for the song
Pangs and Tutu
that we remixed. You feel me?
CLE, not Cleveland.
Listen, if you're coming, just to leave is too bad. But if you're coming and you're staying, you know the rules. Just no requests.
She making bands out of long. She bad, she gives out a blanco. She up, she gives out a blanco. She bad, she